After the break, an unwelcome measure for some, the hospitality industry in the capital grapples with changes to alcohol duty. Tonight, strong feelings as taxes go up on stronger alcohol.
Prime Minister, oh the irony that you're raising alcohol duty today as you're putting up pints.
The Prime Minister was heckled as he insisted his shake-up of alcohol duty was good for all of us. But in the capital, where hospitality has been hard hit, it's an unwelcome measure.
The taxes on a £20 bottle of gin as of today are going to be somewhere in the order of £15. That's a substantial amount for consumers to have to pay.
Also ahead, after complaints from commuters, the organisation sanctioned for their fundraising tactics. Flight of Fancy, the unloved staircase to nowhere that got bidders going higher and higher, and musical theatre. A violinist's performance through her own brain surgery goes on display. Good evening. The capital's pubs, bars and restaurants lost out in the lockdowns, and many in the hospitality industry believe Brexit has contributed to a serious shortage of staff. It's hardly surprising then that the government increasing taxes depending on the alcohol's strength is as welcome to the industry as a hangover from hell. That insists it will be good for our health and businesses will be better off too. In a moment, we'll put that to the boss of the Nighttime Industries Association. But first, Rags Martel reports.
Gin o'clock just got more expensive. With new alcohol duties, the stronger the drink, the higher the tax. And for London distillers Whitley Neal, all the drink levies are adding up to leave a bitter taste.
The taxes on a £20 bottle of gin as of today are going to be somewhere in the order of £15. That's a substantial amount for consumers to have to pay.
So you pay £15 in taxes for a £20 bottle of gin?
Correct. The various taxes and duties add up to somewhere in the order of £15 on a £20 bottle of gin.
Ouch.
Yes.
In a city basement, Whitley Neal continue a distilling tradition that goes back 250 years. Juniper berries and other citrus fruits boil in a still. It acts like a big kettle. When the vapour rises, out comes the London gin.
Well, this is a historic hit for the spirits and wine categories today. The wrong decision at the wrong time. And these price increases that are happening today are going to hit consumers at a time when they can ill afford to be spending increased money.
From today, bottled beer in pubs and supermarkets will go up by around 4p. The average bottle of wine rises by 44p. And spirits, like gin and vodka, get a 76p increase. The Hippodrome Casino is the largest licensed premises in the West End. It has 8 bars and employs more than 750 people.
The way alcohol is being taxed changes today. How much will the tax rise affect business here?
Well, any tax rise is unwelcome. We've just come out of the COVID period. The whole of the West End of London is recovering. We're fighting to recover. We're fighting to keep our prices low so that we attract more business into the area. And all of a sudden, our wine and spirits prices are being pushed up by the government. The West End has an economy larger than that of Wales. That's how important it is in the UK. But you can only take so much money out before you start harming the golden goose, so to speak.
So you've done one pull.
Promoting the tax changes, the Prime Minister was heckled at a beer festival in Olympia.
Prime Minister, oh the irony that you're raising alcohol duty today as you're putting up pints.
We're moving to a system which is just inherently more sensible, that the lower the strength of alcohol in a drink, the less tax that you pay. I think most people will agree with that as a common sense principle.
The government talks of common sense and simplification, but its consumers will pay more. Rags Martel, DanTV News.
Well, Michael Kill is the CEO for the Nighttime Industries Association and joins me now. What does this mean for London in particular, for our pubs, bars, theatres, etc.?
Well, it falls on top of a very, very challenging and fragile sector at the moment. I think the big challenges that we face are the cost of operating at present, but it's been coupled with several other withdrawals of things like easements, things like late night levy, and also the bigger challenge is things like staffing. So for us, an industry that is really in a very, very difficult position, this on top of it is going to make it even harder for many and potentially lose businesses and jobs in the long run.
Well, you say difficult position. What do you actually mean by that? If you're to sum up what people are telling you, how do businesses feel in the capital?
Well, what we've seen is about a 40% increase in operating costs against pre-COVID. So as you can appreciate, many of those businesses are extremely stretched economically. What it seems like is where people are coming out and you see busy pubs. The challenge that we have is those onerous costs that have been sat with us for over a year and a half now are just taking away any profits. So 7 out of 10 businesses are now sat in a situation where they're either losing money or they're barely breaking even.
The Prime Minister calls this a common sense principle. The lower the alcohol in the drink, the less tax you pay. So what is wrong with that?
Well, we understand the sentiment, but the challenge is the timing is appalling. And as you can appreciate, at a time where the industry is trying to recover, and it is one of the industries that helps drive transaction all the way through the sector and recovery of many of the other sectors within cities, particularly like London, that holds 25% of the nighttime economy sort of trade. It's really, really important that we just gain that space to be able to move forward. And at present, under this regime and other regimes that have been withdrawn, it's leaving us slightly ailing and challenged for the future over the next 12 months.
The Prime Minister also said that leaving the EU will ensure that the tax we pay for beer on drafts in pubs is lower. Are you feeling those benefits of leaving the EU? You mentioned Brexit earlier.
No, we're not. And I think the concern that we have is it's slightly disingenuous of the current position. We are seeing that wine is going up. We are seeing that things like spirits are going up. And at present, that is going to affect probably some of the hardest hit businesses out there, particularly cultural businesses, which are going to be challenged, that don't resonate around pubs and pints, are going to have the hardest time. So there is a concern over the future, particularly with regard to the sales mix. So as you can imagine, if people have more spirits or their wine or cocktail-led, then that's where we're going to see challenges because those costs are going to go up. And at some point, they're going to have to get passed on to the consumer.
Good to get your take, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next tonight, how one social enterprise business has been accused of aggressively stopping people in the streets, blocking people's paths and demanding donations. Inside Success Union is an anti-knife crime organisation, but it is not a charity, despite what some of those fundraising for them might say. The regulator has been flooded with complaints about members' behaviour and has now sanctioned them. But that hasn't stopped the tactics or the complaints. Cafe Patter explains.
This is a promotional video from Inside Success Union. They claim to raise money to help London's youth. They make regular appearances outside tube stations selling magazines for good causes, but they've recently come under fire for aggressive fundraising.
They wanted us to do it by all means necessary, but I wouldn't say aggressive, but they wanted it gone, basically.
Antonia worked for Inside Success in the summer of 2018, and she has first-hand knowledge of how her employers made money on the streets.
Inside Success, you people, you.
The complaints aren't limited to the public.
At the end of the day, I'd even end up getting that money. So
Across social media, other young people have shared complaints about sales techniques and wages that were never paid.
They said if you sold all your magazines, you would get £100. So I was just trying to get rid of it. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did.
Did you ever get paid for it?
The leader will be like, okay, yeah, come back tomorrow, we'll pay you. They said that for a good 3 days and they didn't pay us.
You never got any money from working at Inside Success?
Not in the slightest. Got £0, 0p.
A lot of the complaints were concerns about what people described as inappropriate behaviour.
Over a 24-month period, there was an unusually high number of complaints to the regulator about Inside Success. They investigated and found multiple breaches of their code of practice, including fundraising without the proper licence.
As you said, you need a licence to fundraise. Inside Success don't have that licence. Does that mean they are illegally fundraising?
I think it's an arguable point. We would say that they are stretching it. We would say that they're breaching our code. It would be for the police or the licensing authorities, I think, to reach a view.
We started getting emails saying people were fundraising for us and they didn't like their tactics.
The behaviour of Inside Success has negatively impacted their reputation. It's gone on to adversely affect other genuine youth charities.
We collated a few of the complaints and sent them to Charity Commission, didn't get anything back, then called them a few times and they said that they're not a charity, the only thing we can do is let the local police know in those areas.
We contacted Inside Success multiple times asking about their fundraising tactics and treatments of employees. They never responded. Cafe Pato, ITV News.
5 teenagers have been arrested after the fatal stabbing of a 19-year-old man in Edgware. Stefan Valentine Balaban died after being stabbed in the chest on Friday. 4 16-year-olds and a 17-year-old have been arrested on suspicion of his murder. The Mayor of Lewisham has confirmed he'll be standing down from the role following his successful bid to become Labour's candidate for Parliament, 120 miles away in Bristol. Damien Egan beat Bristol's current Mayor Marvin Rees to be selected for the new parliamentary seat of Bristol North East. The first of the 94 newly built Piccadilly line trains has arrived at a test centre in Germany. The 9-carriage train was transported from Vienna to the centre, where it will be put through its tests, including acceleration and braking, noise and vibration trials, as well as testing all of the equipment on board. The father of a Surrey teenager who died after being attacked at a party has begged other teenagers to think twice before carrying a knife. Charlie Cossa was celebrating the end of his exams before he was stabbed 10 days ago. A 16-year-old boy has pleaded guilty to his murder. Charlie's dad, Martin, spoke to our reporter Malcolm Shaw about his son.
So this was Charlie's top?
This is Charlie's top, yeah, one of his favourites. He'd always be wearing this, so I haven't been able to let it go. His brother Adam and sister Eloise have also got a top, but this was one of his favourites and it sort of stuck with me, to be honest. Almost like a comfort blanket, I suppose.
It's barely a week since Martin Cossa lost his beloved son, Charlie, but today he bravely spoke out, determined the 17-year-old's death should not be in vain.
I've been through denial, I've been through anger, crying and crying and crying at times, wanting to be on my own. It's just like a massive trauma, so it's very difficult to explain. I think there's a real overwhelming sense of why. My son was beautiful in every way. He was gentle, he was caring, he was popular, he was funny.
Charlie was at a party near Warnham in Sussex when he was stabbed. He suffered a cardiac arrest in the ambulance to Brighton and died in hospital 2 days later.
There's a lot of, at the moment, going round in our heads about, you know, we should have picked him up earlier. What could we have done differently? And that's hard, particularly with my wife. Tara's really struggling with that. And I said there can be no guilt, you know. Charlie knows how much he was loved, and what's happened was just a pure act of evil, not anything that we as parents at home could have done anything about. I don't understand how anyone can think carrying a weapon, it's no different than having a gun.
Friends of Charlie are now fundraising in his memory for the charity Lives Not Knives.
Because his friends have set it up, I know Charlie would be really proud of them, like really overwhelmed as much as we are, and we've taken some real comfort in that, in what have been obviously our darkest days.
A boy of 16 from Chessington has pleaded guilty to Charlie's murder and will be sentenced in September. Martin Cossa is hoping in time to visit schools and colleges to talk about his son's death, hoping that no one else need suffer such a tragedy. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Milford.
Still to come on the programme, the woman who transformed her career while transforming others, and Surgical Spirit, a violinist's special performance during brain surgery. But first, it consists of 4 flights of stairs, is connected to nothing at all and is full of rubbish. And yet a disused staircase in Twickenham has been auctioned for £25,000. A canny business opportunity or a sign of how desperate the capital's property market is? Mahathir Pasha has been getting his steps in.
For all those worried about getting on the property ladder, today's events show there might be alternative steps. This disused stairwell in Twickenham has just been sold for £25,000. The stairs are no longer used by the flat they once served, and so the structure was put on auction with a pretty hefty minimum asking price.
I don't know what I would do with it. I don't know what they're planning on doing with it, but that seems like a lot of money for a stairwell that leads nowhere.
Well, I was a little bit surprised. I only found out this morning, and yeah, I suppose it could make someone with a house. I don't know.
I think for my kids and a lot of young people at the moment, it's going to be impossible to buy a house. It just seems crazy, that we're having to buy space to live.
An estate agent selling this structure might boast its natural light, location and proximity to the station, but for now the building has been turned into a makeshift storage site and is conveniently located near the bins.
The stairwell was listed by auctioneers as having development potential. Quite what that development potential is, considering there's no planning permission here now, is yet to be seen. What is clear though is there is a strong demand for housing and real estate here in London. In the past decade alone, the average house price has risen by almost £200,000 in the capital.
It's solid structure. You have crystal windows.
Ravinder Gill has been an architect for almost 40 years. For him, this purchase feels like a solid investment.
You could recuperate 1/3 or half the cost just by selling the materials or staircases.
Do you think there's potential here, Rev?
I definitely do. First thing would be a penthouse suite at the top, because there is a potential of like a double height space with a balcony so that you can actually enjoy the ambience of Richmond.
We are still months, possibly years away from knowing what this old stairwell might become, but we are at least one step closer to finding out. Mahathir Pasha, ITV News.
Chelsea's Lauren James was the pride of the Lionesses when England thrashed China to reach the knockout rounds of the World Cup.
Feel robbed to have 1 goal disallowed. You would have been on a hat-trick.
Yeah, I know, a bit frustrating, but those things happen and, just look forward to the next one.
And you told me after Haiti that you want to show the world what you can do. Is there more to come from Lauren James?
Yeah, for sure. Each day, each game, I'm looking to improve and get better, and there's many more years of improvement and I can always get better, so I just need to stay focused and hopefully that can happen.
Now, makeup artists truly work wonders, believe me. One young star of the industry has gone from a TV reality competition to actually working behind the scenes in television, music videos and high-end magazines. Paige Cole from Croydon is responsible for shape-shifting sorceresses in The Witcher, aristocrats in period drama Bridgerton and the sparkling stars of Strictly Come Dancing. And she joins me now. Welcome, Paige. I've got to ask you straight away because people will be wondering, what have you got on your cheek then?
Well, I have a sideboard prosthetic on actually today.
So how long would something like that take you?
Well, for me, it only actually took me about 20 minutes. I was trying to decide
just
where to
dashed
put
it off.
Yeah. I was like, let's just do it.
Why not? Tell me about your career then, because this is an incredible change in just, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
You're a pro and you're working on some brilliant productions.
Yeah.
How hard has that work been getting there?
Gosh, I'm only now feeling like the fruits of my labour, honestly. Like, it's been such a journey and gosh, sometimes I look back, I'm just like, how has this happened? How is this my life? But I'm so blessed and grateful for all the people that have helped me get to where I am now.
Let's have a look at one of your productions. This is The Witcher, and I think it's the actress Cassie Clare, because this look that you did with her hair got a lot of reaction on social media. Yeah. You made a kind of a crown and veil from braids, is it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite something.
Yeah. So my designer, Deb Watson, incredible woman, she really trusts me a lot with these looks with Cassie, and she wanted a crown and a veil for the funeral because, you know, Cassie's a girl here to slay, Philippa's here to slay, and I had to make sure she looked absolutely exquisite for that. And for me, as a black woman, I see our afro as our crown. We wear it with pride, our emotions, how our hair is, no matter if it's texturized, natural, locked, it's something we take pride in.
And how important is that understanding to the actresses and the models?
Yeah, so you hear a lot of horror stories of black actresses and, you know, musicians and models of what they've gone through in the industry, of people not knowing what to do with their hair, what to do with their makeup. And I think it's so important to know these things because it affects them, and also I think it's a reflection of the production and the work that goes into it. And I've noticed even when people sit in my chair, they sometimes just start crying. They're like, this is the first time someone's actually taking care of me, my hair and my makeup, and not tried to make me look not like myself.
So it's important then, but sometimes people from different ethnic backgrounds and particularly working class people don't think creative industries like this are for them. So what would you say to them?
Wow, I know exactly how that is because I come from all those backgrounds, and also my family is quite traditional and I come from an African background, so it's not typically a regular job.
No.
And it's so important to have these people in these spaces because it opens up opportunity for people to explore different facets of the industry and know and be able to express themselves and actually do what they're passionate about, because I had to give up so much to be where I am.
Yes.
And yeah.
But it paid off. Paige, we're running out of time, but I just want to very quickly hold this up. This is one of your prosthetics.
Yes.
And it's an old person's neck. And it feels ever so strange. It feels like my future. Paige, listen, you're doing brilliantly. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Now, when Dagmar Turner had to have a tumour removed from her brain 3 years ago, she feared surgery might harm her ability to play the violin. Her surgeon, himself a keen pianist, understood her concerns and decided the best way to ensure Dagmar's hand-eye coordination was not affected was to have her play through surgery. Here's Antoine Allen.
You are watching two masters at work, the surgeon and the violinist patient. 3 years ago, the world was fascinated by this unique footage of a melodic brain tumour operation. Surgeons at King's College London Hospital operated on Dagmar Turner's brain, whilst the sound of her playing the violin filled the theatre. The operation was a success and Dagmar maintained her ability to play her beloved instrument. Today she reconnected with the surgeon that saved her life and career.
Hello, hi Dagmar, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, how are you doing?
Good to see you, I'm good.
Dagmar says she's only watched the operation once, but the video has been shared and viewed millions of times online. Despite being a viral star, the violinist is thankful to the doctors that kept her passion alive.
Worship him every night. Yeah, you're part of my karma prayers.
Thank you very much. I just did my job, really, that's all.
In 2012, Dagmar was told she has a slow-growing tumour. As it became more aggressive, doctors decided it needed to be removed. Turner played her violin in the hope it would assist surgeons and stop her losing the functionality in her left hand. She trusted Professor Ashkan with her life due to his ability to play the piano.
Only people who are musicians really understand what music can do to one, how good it is for a person. And I thought, oh, if I can have that, a person who is a surgeon and a musician together at the same time, let's have him.
It makes me feel great. I mean, especially Dagmar just told me 2 weeks ago or so, she played in the Isle of Wight equivalent of a proms for 3 hours. I mean, that's amazing, really. I wish I was there to watch you play, by the way.
Yeah, you should have come.
The exceptional feat of medical science has been added to the Royal College of Surgeons Hunterian Museum in a new 60-minute film of remarkable surgeries.
As a medical student, you dream to visit Hunterian Museum. You don't think about being part of this. That was I was truly honoured and very privileged.
You both have two unique and very talented skills. If you were to give a word of advice to a young person who wants to follow in your footsteps, what would you say?
Get a decent teacher.
Dedication. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Dagmar isn't fully healed yet, but she is happy her road to recovery still includes the ability to play the instrument that is an irreplaceable part of her life. Antoine Allen, ITV News.
Wasn't that remarkable? Right, on to the weather, and unbelievably, we are into August, and yet the weather, not so much. Let's have a look at the forecast now. Here's Philippa Drew.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello there. Well, August has started on a relatively quiet note, but tomorrow, not the same sort of story. Some very unsettled weather on the way over the next 24 hours. The Met Office have a yellow thunderstorm warning coming into force. We could see some local disruption, and it's all down to this area of low pressure tracking its way eastwards through the next 24 hours, bringing a spell of fairly persistent and heavy rain overnight tonight. But it's tomorrow where the showers will follow in, merging at times to give longer spells of rain and bringing the risk of those thundery downpours. Out there at the moment, dry initially, but it won't be long at all before the first of the rain piles its way in from the west. As I said, persistent overnight, some locally heavy bursts, winds picking up as well, but all of that will keep temperatures in the mid-teens for many. So tomorrow morning, initially a cloudy and a wet start. The rain fairly promptly clearing away northeastwards, but behind that the showers start to pile in. And certainly from late morning into the early afternoon, we'll see some heavy and thundery downpours developing, merging at times to give longer spells of rain and accompanied all the while by fairly brisk southwesterly winds. No surprise then, the temperatures will struggle somewhat tomorrow, probably peaking at around 19 or 20 Celsius at best. But thankfully, as we head overnight into Thursday, that low pressure system will edge away eastwards. It will take the heaviest downpours with it. And as it moves away, the isobars start to open out, meaning the winds will gradually begin to ease down. Beyond that, it does remain fairly changeable. So sunny spells and showers, very much the order of things through Thursday and Friday. Perhaps another spell of more persistent rain on Saturday. Fingers crossed for something quieter by Sunday.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
And that is it from us. The ITV Evening News is up next with Lucrezia. But for now, from all of us on the London team, thank you for watching and have a lovely evening. See you tomorrow.